Hello students, here I am to explain you climate today. Do you recall we have already discussed the location, the different physiographic divisions of India. Remember, these chapters will also help you to understand the dynamic phenomena of climate. Children, do you wonder why do we wear cotton clothes during summers or woolen clothes during winters? Why do we have rainfall in different parts of the country? Certain places experience very heavy rainfall, while the others, they receive scanty rainfall. What is the phenomena? Climate, it's a dynamic phenomena. Let's discuss various aspects of this phenomena in this chapter. I'll be talking about various concepts which will help you to understand weather, climate. Do you understand what is the difference between weather and climate? If I say the weather today is humid or I say the climate today is humid, which statement is correct? Of course, weather is humid, not the climate. So, we will talk about weather and climate and the various aspects of these phenomena. When we talk about your school, try to identify the region where your school is located, whether a hilly region, a plain region or a plateau region. Then try to identify the climatic conditions. So, what is weather? Weather is a momentary state of the atmosphere, whereas climate refers to the average of weather conditions. Climate refers to the sum total of total weather conditions and variations over a larger area for a longer duration of time, whereas the weather is considered for a shorter duration of time and for a smaller region. So, weather conditions might fluctuate from dry to hot to rainy to windy, whereas climate is usually tropical, continental, equable, temperate, isn't it? So, the climate of India is hot monsoonal climate. Now, you will say, no ma'am, we don't receive monsoon rainfall everywhere. It is not equally distributed. But this is one phenomena which binds the whole country together. So, when it binds the whole country together, here are few expressions I am telling you. The climate of Kerala and Tamil Nadu in the south are so different from each other. Whereas, if you talk about Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, and yet all of them they have a monsoon type of climate. They experience monsoon. So, do you understand? The climate may vary from region to region, but the monsoons they bind them together. The climate of India have regional variations. What are the different aspects of weather? Temperature, humidity, precipitation, air pressure. So, all these weather conditions they jointly make the climate of a particular place. So, these regional diversities, let us talk about the regional diversities now. When we talk about variation, variation is in the form of temperature, rainfall and precipitation. In summer, the mercury occasionally touches 55 degrees Celsius in the western Rajasthan, whereas it drops down to as low as minus 45 degrees Celsius in the winter season in the Leh region. Churu in Rajasthan, you must have heard the region, records a temperature of 50 degrees Celsius or more on a June day, whereas the mercury hardly touches 90 degrees Celsius in Tawang, which is in Arunachal Pradesh. On a December night, the temperature in Dras is in Kashmir, may drop down to minus 45 degrees Celsius. Thiruvananthapuram, Chennai, the same night might experience 20 degrees or 22 degrees Celsius. So, certain places there is a vast difference of temperature during the day and night also. In Thar Desert, the day temperature might rise to 50 degrees Celsius, but the same night that particular region might experience 15 degrees, isn't it? So, these are the variations in temperature. There is hardly any difference of temperature near the coastal regions, let us say Andaman and Nicobar Islands or Kerala. In summer, when we talk about 50 degrees Celsius in some parts of Rajasthan, it can be 20 degrees in Pahalgam. So, when we talk about variation in temperature, we will be talking about variation in precipitation too. Children, what is precipitation? Precipitation is a wider phenomena. Wider phenomena means it includes rainfall, drizzle, sleet, hailstones, whereas rainfall means only falling of water. In the regions of Himalayas, many regions they experience snowfall, whereas rest of the country experiences only rainfall. And variation is noticeable in the precipitation type also and also in the intensity. Cherrapunji and Moisin Ramen, Khasi Hills of Meghalaya receive rainfall more than 1080 centimeters in a year, whereas Jaisalmer in Rajasthan gets more than 9 centimeters. So, see the variation in precipitation and the amount of rainfall. Tura, situated in Garo Hills of Meghalaya, may receive an amount of rainfall in a single day, which is equal to 10 years of rainfall in Jaisalmer. While the annual precipitation is less than 10 centimeters in the northwestern Himalayas and the western desert, it exceeds more than 400 centimeters in Meghalaya. So, you understand the precipitation varies, that means certain regions are receiving snowfall while the other regions are experiencing rainfall. The Ganga Delta and the coastal plains of Odisha, they are hit by strong rain-bearing storms almost every third or fifth day in the month of July and August, while Coromandel coast, 1000 kilometers away, generally goes dry during these months. See the extreme conditions? Most part of the country gets rainfall during June and September, but the coastal regions of Tamil Nadu, the Coromandel coast, receives rainfall in the winter season. So, this extreme dynamic condition also prevails in the country. So, you will ask as to why it happens. The whole country is one, but why do we experience varied climatic conditions? Yes children, reason number one, your lesson number one, location. Reason number two, your lesson number two, physical features. So, most of the factors are related to location and relief, while the others are related to air pressure and winds. So, children, India experiences variation in climatic conditions. The main factors affecting these are: 1. Related to location and relief. The second are related to air pressure. Now, we will talk about location and latitude, altitude and Himalayas, surface winds and air pressure separately one by one. Children, whenever you try to understand climate, do not forget the rotation, the revolution and the tilt of the earth, because all these factors are related to the movement of surface winds and air pressure. Due to the curvature of the earth, the amount of solar energy received varies according to the latitude. As a result, the temperature generally decreases from equator towards the poles. Now you know, Tropic of Cancer passes from almost center of India. The regions to the north of the Tropic of Cancer experience tropical climate, which is also known as temperate zone. And the part lying to the south of Tropic of Cancer experiences very high temperatures throughout the year with very small daily and annual range. What is meant by range of temperature? A range means the difference between the highest and the lowest recorded for that particular day. So, the regions near to the equator, they experience higher range of temperature, whereas as you move away from the equator, the range automatically increases. Area north of the Tropic of Cancer, being away from the equator, experiences extreme climate, and the regions near to the equator has more range of temperature. Now, don't you think we have such a favorable location? India is surrounded by water from three sides and the Himalayas in the north. Recall children, this favorable location we have done in lesson number 1. So, these oceans have a moderating influence on the climate of our country. The weather of the coastal regions is always equable, not extreme. The range of temperature is also very low. India is flanked by Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea, and the continuous mountain wall of Himalayas in the north. So, as compared to the landmass, the water heats up quickly and cools down slowly. So, this differential heating of land and sea creates different air pressure zones in different seasons and around the Indian subcontinent. Children, when we talk about air pressure, moving winds, always remember the theme of the winds. They always blow from high pressure to low pressure. So, the differential heating of land and sea creates a different air pressure zones in different seasons and different regions in the Indian subcontinent. So, difference in the air pressure causes reversal in the direction of monsoon winds. Children, whenever we are discussing about the movement of winds, always remember that the winds, they move from high pressure to low pressure, and these pressure conditions, they change with temperature. Therefore, the movement of wind also changes with the movement of the temperature. With a long coastline, the large coastal areas of India, they experience equable climate. Equable means neither too hot nor too cold, and the diurnal range of temperature, the daily range of temperature is also minimum. Areas in the interior part of the country which are away from the sea, they do not have equable climate. They experience extreme climate, very hot in summers, very cold in winters, and the daily range is also different, and they also experience different seasons. The areas having extreme climate, they experience very high temperature during summer month. If you ask the people living in Mumbai, they do not know the different seasons because they hardly have any idea of extremes of temperature and the seasonal rhythm of weather. If you are living in the northern part of the country, you are waiting for the winter season, you are waiting for the summer season and the monsoon season, whereas the regions in the coastal areas, they do not have any change of seasons. On the other hand, when we talk about altitude, altitude means as one goes from the surface of the earth to higher altitudes. Altitude means elevation, height. The atmosphere becomes less dense and the temperature decreases. Therefore, the hills are cooler during summers. When we have our summer vacations in the northern part of the country, all of you are waiting to go to a hill station. Why? Because the temperature there is less in comparison to the region where you are living in. So, the temperature decreases with height. Due to thin air, the places in the mountains are cooler than the places on the plains. For example, try to locate Agra and Darjeeling. Both these places are located in almost same latitude, but see the contrast of temperature. In January, Agra it is 16 degrees Celsius, where it is only 4 degrees Celsius in Darjeeling. Try to find out more stations, more weather stations which locate on the same latitude, yet they experience extreme contrast in temperature. Now, let us talk about the lofty mountains of Himalayas. Himalayas are not only the water divide, they are also the climatic divide. Most of the rivers are originating from there, hence it is a water divide. You have done in lesson drainage, and it is a climatic divide too. The lofty Himalayas in the north, along with its extensions, act as a climatic divide. The towering mountains, high mountain change provides an invincible shield to protect the subcontinent from the cold northern winds. They prevent these cold northern winds to enter India. These cold and chilly winds originate near the Arctic Circle and blow towards the Central and Eastern Asia. The Himalayas, they trap the monsoon winds and force them to shed their moisture within our country. So, Himalayas are very important for our country. The physiography, the relief, that means the physical divisions, also affect the temperature, air pressure, direction and speed of the wind, and of course, the amount and distribution of rainfall. The windward side of Western Ghats. Western Ghats are very high mountains. What is the windward side? Windward side means from where the moisture laden winds are coming. they strike against the windward side and give heavy rainfall, whereas the southern plateau, which is the leeward side of the Western Ghats, receives less rainfall. So you see, the relief also plays a very important role. We will be talking about Tamil Nadu also regarding this relief. Now let us talk about air pressure and wind. Children, do not consider this as a difficult topic. Air pressure and wind, they are very important to understand the differences in the local climate of India. We need to understand the mechanism of the movement of wind, the distribution of air pressure on the surface of the earth. Now, other than the surface winds which blow in the lower atmosphere, we have very fast blowing winds in the upper atmosphere too. So, all of them together, they leave an influence on the climate of our country. Inflow of western cyclones, generally known as disturbances during the winter season, and tropical depressions during the southwest monsoons period, they create favorable conditions for the rainfall. Children, as you know, the surface winds, the whole of the globe or the earth is divided into various surface winds, and India falls into the zone of trade winds. Before understanding the movement of the winds, let us try to understand, when you draw the diagram of winds, why do these winds are shown in a diagonal method or in a curved method? That happens due to the Coriolis force, an apparent force caused by the earth's rotation. The Coriolis force is responsible for deflecting winds towards the right in the northern hemisphere and towards the left in the southern hemisphere. This is also known as Ferrel's law. So children, now you understand, when we are drawing winds in your diagram, why they are shown in a curved manner or in a diagonal manner? They are because of the Coriolis force. Now, have you heard of the jet stream? As the name says, jet, very fast blowing. The jet streams are narrow belt of high altitude winds, westerly winds in the troposphere. Troposphere is the lowermost layer of the earth, as you have done in your Fundamentals of Geography book. Their speed varies for about 110 kilometers per hour during summers to about 184 kilometers during winters. These jet streams are also responsible for the movement of the rainy winds in India. Children, have you heard of ITCZ? ITCZ is Intertropical Convergence Zone. If you try to understand these four terms, inter means between, tropical means a tropical region, convergence where they converge, zone is the area. So, Intertropical Convergence Zone is a broad trough of low pressure in the equatorial latitudes. When I tell you that the pressure changes and the movement of wind changes, this happens due to the Intertropical Convergence Zone. This is where the northeast and the southeast trade winds converge. India is in the tropical trade wind zone, you understand? So, this ITCZ moves during summers and winters. Hence, this lies parallel to the equator but keeps on moving to the north or the south with the apparent movement of the sun. With the apparent movement of the sun, this ITCZ keeps on moving from north to south, hence deflecting and converging the wind movements. For this, we have to understand the rhythm of seasons. In the next class, I will be explaining you the 4 seasons of India. The meteorologists, they recognize 4 seasons in India. These 4 seasons are the cold weather, the hot weather, the southwest monsoon and the retreating monsoon season. If you keep in mind the latitude, the location of our country, you will understand that yes, we are in the dry zone of trade winds which blow from the land to the sea. When we talk about Himalayas or the altitude, you know, high Himalayas, they prevent the cold chilly winds to enter India. Hence, India is not a cold desert. And these Himalayas, they are responsible for bringing the monsoons also. Hence, India is favorably located. So, children, If we recall the factors controlling the climate of India, what an easy way to learn? Reason number 1, lesson number 1, location, latitude. Reason number 2, lesson number 2, relief, altitude, the physical divisions. So, depending on all these factors, we will be discussing about the next seasons of India in the next lecture. Thank you.